Hey everybody, Pastor Dana Coverstone, Brooksville, Kentucky, Living Room Ministries of Son of God Church. And I want to share a dream that I had. I've had one of three. I've had three, ones which I cannot share at the time, one which I need to wait to get a little bit more insight on. But this one was a vision that I had September 14th. I've waited just a little bit to share it. I did share it Sunday night at the September Solemn Assembly in Plano, Texas, at the 40-hour prayer and fasting event. But I wanted to just share this. I had this was not a dream. This was a vision. I was watching I Still Believe with my wife and my son and his girlfriend, and zoomed out. It was almost like the camera zoomed back to me, and I saw something. I saw an elderly and an emaciated woman in a hospital bed. She appeared rather weak. She was malnourished, almost skin and bones, and there was a hospital worker that appeared to be another guy that I saw in a previous dream. It was kind of connected, but I'm still not sure how. And almost like an orderly, somebody who was working at the hospital to help with things. And he was standing near her bed. He put down the side rails and he lifted her out of the bed and he clutched her tightly to his chest in a very loving embrace. It was almost like a son holding his mother, who was about to pass away. Once again, she was elderly. She was emaciated. Her skin was almost like the broken, kind of like you felt if you touched it, it would break. She was just very, very weak, very, very sick. And he kind of picked her up and held her to his chest. Her head was here, and he's holding kind of has his hand out here like this, and just kind of holding his hand had his hand on her face. His eyes misted over, and he gazed very lovingly at the woman, who tried to open her eyes, but she did not even have the strength to do so. Barely able to whisper, almost not breathing at all. But the man held her closer to his chest and moved his lips like he was praying, and then I realized he was blowing over her face. He was holding her here, and there was tears coming down his face, but he just began to blow over her face. And he was holding on to her left hand with his right hand at that time. He squeezed that open hand gently with her left hand. And her skin was chalk white. It was pale all over. It was almost there was a deathly pallor to it. I'll say it that way. Her hand began to darken just as soon as that man squeezed her hand. Suddenly her face began to light up. There was some color coming back to her face. Her hair began to turn like a light brown. And her body started to fill out. It was almost like weight was being put back on. She was growing in his arms, healthy weight. Her eyes were like trying to open and trying to focus and trying to see. And she asked him to set her down, but he said, "Your strength is not returned, but it will soon." And she asked to be set down, almost like on her feet, like she wanted to walk. And the man said, "I know better. You need time to rest." She started to ask one more time, and he told her not to ask again. And then he laid her gently back into the bed, and he covered her up. And he walked to the door, and he looked back. And he said for her not to try to walk too soon, or she would end up limping. He said, "You need to be able to run. So stick to the instructions, or you will be ineffective later on." And then he said, "Stay braced and occupy until I come." One of the biggest distinctions with this vision, was I've always seen a white, ethereal type figure, which I know was Jesus, the Holy Spirit, combination of both, one or the other. But this time, this was his hospital orderly, this man who I've seen now in a previous dream I'll be sharing here in the near future. But he said, "Stay braced and occupy until I come." Well, now I know exactly who that figure was. It was Jesus, because he's the only one that's going to be returning in that sense. But I saw something that was almost near to death. Could it be the church? It could be. But I think I was watching the bride of Christ with hope breathed all over her. I think I saw a battle-weary, battle-worn bride that was being told to get ready. All I know is I saw her come back to life. I saw her come back to hope. And I saw life spilled out all over her because of the breath of the one that was holding her. But he told her to get as good as she could, as well as she could, because she needed to be able to run. So stick to the instructions. So folks, stay in the Word. Let God do what He wants to do in your life. Realize He's coming back soon. I believe that. I believe that. I've been saying lately that I think everybody's going to find out that their end times theology probably it's not going to pan out the way we all think it is. Everybody's going to be wrong about something. I'm not arguing pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, whatever. I'm just telling you, you need to be ready whenever He comes. I've not changed my theology. I've not changed my opinions. I've had all sorts of people asking me about that. I believe Jesus is coming back, and I want to be ready when He comes. He's telling the bride to get ready to run. Get ready to run. Get ready to run. Get ready to run. So take this. Pray about it as you will, as you want. That's what I saw in this vision, and I'm sharing it today. I hope it'll be a blessing. And more than that, I hope it'll give you some insight